BIP85 is a feature that has been baked into a number of different Bitcoin wallets, including the Coldcard, and it allows you to take your original seed phrase and derive up to 10,000 independent wallets from that one source. And so you can then manage hot wallets, wallets for your family, mixing wallets, all from a single seed phrase and a single backup. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to set up and use BIP85 and how you might like to implement it in your setup. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, quick shout out to sponsors of the show, hodlhodl.com. If you're buying Bitcoin and you've got a few priorities in mind, like peer-to-peer transactions, instant self-custody, and no KYC, then HODL is the place for you. You can sign up in minutes with nothing more than an email address, be stacking non-KYC sats in no time at all. Super simple. Scroll down, choose your currency, choose your payment method, and choose your amount, and start viewing offers right away. They also have a peer-to-peer lending platform in which nothing is ever rehypothecated. You can check them out today at hodlhodl.com. Link is down below if you want to sign up and help the show at the same time. Up next, if you are stacking those non-KYC sats, you're going to want to store it in the best hardware on the market, and I love everything coming out of CoinKite. Again, of course, we're going to be working with a Coldcard Mark IV today, which is an absolute beast. So many awesome features, including BIP85, but there's also a ton of other great stuff coming out of CoinKite, like the Tap Signer, the Sats cards, the Block Clock, the Open Dimes, and coming out soon, the Coldcard Q1 looks insane. So if you want to reserve that or check out any of the other stuff that they have to offer, head over to coinkite.com. You can use code BTC Sessions for 5% off everything in the store. Now, if you do want to go beyond just a single sig option and dive into multi-sig, then you'd be hard pressed to find a better option than what Nunchuk is doing over at nunchuk.io. They have an assisted multi-sig setup known as the Honey Badger plan, and it has baked in inheritance planning. So Nunchuk will hold a just-in-case key that allows them to be a secondary signer in your multi-sig setup, but never gives them access to your funds. And then you also have this baked in inheritance planning where you can make sure that the sats that you're saving can get to your next of kin if anything happens to you. It's super easy, incredible to set up all through mobile. It works with great things like stuff from CoinKite, Tap Signer, Coldcard, and a ton of other hardware wallet options as well. And one of my favorite things about it, other than the simplicity, is it is non-KYC. You don't have to use any of your personal information to set this up. You can keep it private and still have that peace of mind knowing your sats are going to get where they need to go to that next of kin without any issues. So be sure to check them out, nunchuk.io. Links are below. I also have a tutorial on everything here. And finally, big shout out to Start9, your sovereign computing solution. I love these guys and everything they're doing. You can set up your full Bitcoin stack with one of their devices. You can set up Bitcoin Core, your Lightning node, things like mempool.space, join market. You can host your own data, your passwords, photos, files. You can also host awesome things like Nostr relays and Nostr clients. They have it all. So be sure to check them out, start9.com. I've got a full tutorial, a bunch of tutorials on them, and again, links are down below, start9.com. The Embassy 1 is your entry-level unit, and the Embassy Pro is if you're looking to host everything in your life on this machine, which you can totally do. With that, let's dive into the show. So let's talk a little bit about what BIP85 is specifically, and then a little bit about the prerequisites that you might need to know before diving into this video. So BIP85 allows you to create a regular seed phrase for a Bitcoin wallet, as you would if you're setting up a Coldcard or anything else. But then from that singular seed phrase, it becomes almost like a parent. And that parent can have many children. In this case, 10,000 of them. And what I mean by children is new seed phrases derived from the original, all of which are independent wallets on their own. And so you can create from your hardware, you can also create a seed that would be used perhaps for a hot wallet, or a seed that would be used for a mixing wallet, or a seed that might be used for your mom because you're worried she's going to lose the backups to her wallet. And you can create all of that from a singular device. And then if anything happens to those wallets, you delete an app off your phone, whatever, you can go back to the source and actually regenerate that seed phrase and be able to load it back up onto your phone or into your mother's hardware device or whatever you need to do. It's all in a singular source, which is nice. Furthermore, those individual seeds, if somebody were to compromise one of those, so say you had that hot wallet, somebody got a hold of that seed phrase, there is no way for an individual to work backwards from that seed phrase to the parent seed. So as long as you keep your hardware or your BIP85 seed safe, then all of the child seeds below it are completely independent, and there's no indication that they came from a BIP85 derived seed. So you have this kind of beacon in the middle that can create all of these sub accounts that by themselves are completely segregated and separate, and there's no risk of compromising the original seed if need be. So I think it's really cool. We're going to look at a bunch of use cases and how you might consider setting something like this up. But what do you need for prerequisites? What is going to be helpful for you? Well, of course, knowing how to use regular Bitcoin transactions, always an asset. If you're familiar with the Coldcard as it is, that is incredibly useful. I do have a full tutorial on the Coldcard, which is, it's like a Lord of the Rings style and length video. It goes into a lot, but just the basic part of that video, just moving your way around the Coldcard and how to use it is helpful. So you can just kind of check out the beginning of that. Sparrow wallet will be used for some of this. So if you want to check out that video, that'll be down below. I think I'm also going to be using Nunchuk Wallet on mobile. Just to kind of show a hot wallet in action. And then we may touch in some other devices where you could export to if somebody perhaps has something other than a Coldcard. How do you create a BIP85 child seed for them and then allow them to use it on their hardware of choice if it's not a Coldcard, which I don't know why it would not be, but nonetheless, I want to show that example as well. So yeah, we're going to dive into all of that. So any of the stuff that we do through this video, there will be links for that down below where you can watch full tutorials on everything mentioned. But with that, let's get into setting up the Coldcard from scratch and then creating your BIP85 seeds. Oh, and before we actually dive in, I just want to give a little shout out to Beans, Bullets, and Bitcoin. They sent me this cool little case for my Coldcard, custom on the back. And so if anybody's wondering where the hell I got this thing, it's them. And so you can follow them over on Twitter at Beans, Bullets, BTC, and check out what they're doing. But again, thank you so much for sending this over, guys. It looks awesome. Okay, so here I am with my Coldcard, and a couple notes here just so you know. This one has previously been used but has been wiped, aka it doesn't have a seed on it, so we'll go through that process, but it does already have a pin and everything, and I've already entered the pin and logged in. So if you're unfamiliar with the initial setup of the Coldcard outside of setting up your seed, then go back to my other Coldcard and check that out. Also, just a side note with the flicker, that has to do with the frame rate of the recording, not the actual Coldcard. When I'm looking at it now, there's no flicker whatsoever. So if you're curious about that, yeah, it just has to do with recording, and I'll play around with the settings here to get the flicker down as much as possible. But let's dive in and set up a new seed word. So we're going to go with the top option, the first one, new seed words. We're going to hit check mark. Now, when you're setting up your seed to use BIP84 or BIP85 rather, you're going to need to use a 24-word seed phrase. So if you've previously done it with a 12-word, and that's how your Coldcard is right now, just know that that will not be an option provided to you with a 12-word seed phrase. So you're going to choose the top one. It's going to generate your seed, of course, and it's going to start here, and you're going to write all these words down and scroll just with the arrows in order to get all the way through. So I'm going to write these down off screen. We'll be back to confirm them momentarily. Once you get to the end, you hit the check mark, and it's going to give you a test. It's going to ask you what each word is in random order, and you're just going to select the correct entry on the screen, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. So looking at my list, I can see that the correct word is 1. So I'm going to choose the number 3 on the keypad to represent the correct word, and then I move on. I'm going to go all the way through, and then we'll continue. Okay, and then you'll have a few questions around how you'd like the Coldcard to operate. Do you want NFC and tap on? So I'll just say a yes for that. Do you want to disable the USB port? Well, I'm using a battery with it, so I'll say yes to that. And now it's all set up and ready to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a passphrase. So a passphrase takes the seed that I've just gotten and turns it into an entirely different wallet. Now, to be clear, if somebody gets a hold of my 24-word seed phrase, they would be able to use it and audit the balance and all of that, but that would be different from the wallet which I create with a passphrase. So without the passphrase, they wouldn't see the actual wallet I'm using. I could put some funds in this seed phrase without a passphrase as a decoy wallet, and that might be a good idea for you. But the reason I want to apply a passphrase in this instance using BIP85, in my opinion, is because you now have a single point of failure in terms of if somebody got this seed phrase and started poking around in the BIP85 section, they may discover, depending on where you put funds, they may discover that, hey, there's other wallets that are derivatives of this one. So in my opinion, if you're going to be doing things like being an Uncle Jim for your family and, holding additional seed phrases for them, then you're going to want to put it behind a passphrase so that it's not possible for somebody to go and start snooping around should they get a hold of your 24-word seed. So we're going to go down one and we're going to select passphrase. Now it says you can add a passphrase to your seed. This creates an entirely new wallet for every possible passphrase. By default, the Coldcard uses an empty string as the passphrase. On the next menu, you can enter a passphrase by selecting individual letters, choosing from the word list recommended, or by typing numbers. Please write down the fingerprint of all your wallets so you know and can confirm when you've got the right passphrase. If you're writing down the passphrases as well, it's okay to put them together. There is no way for the Coldcard to know if your passphrase is correct, and if you have it wrong, you will be looking at an empty wallet. So again, and it gives some limitations on the length and all of that. Okay, great. I'm going to check mark and move on. Okay, so I've done this in my other Coldcard wallet. For now, we're just going to use one of the pre-selected words and then apply it. But I'm not going to go deep into that. If you want to set up your own passphrase, then you just go to edit phrase and then you'll have options to type in anything you like. But for right now, I'm just going to hit add word and we'll say A, B, let's do able, okay? And then it says you can even change it up and have a capital or whatever. I'm just going to leave it basic. Okay. And then I'm going to hit apply. Okay. Above is the master key fingerprint of the new wallet. You can abort and keep editing while pressing, if you press X, OK to use the new wallet, or 1 to use and save to the micro SD card. So what I'm going to do is first I will jot down the fingerprint, this, of my wallet, just so that I cognitively, when I put in my passphrase, can see, oh yeah, that's the right wallet. I put in my passphrase correctly. Okay. And so the passphrase again was able. So I'm going to jot this down, and then I'm going to hit the check mark to use the new wallet we've created with the passphrase. Okay. So now we should be using the passphrase encrypted wallet that we've just created. If you want to check that you're in the correct wallet, you can go all the way down to advanced/tools, and then you can scroll until you see an option that says view identity. And this will show you the same string that you just wrote down. So I see that, and yes, indeed, that is the master fingerprint of my passphrase encrypted wallet. Now, the second I turn off this device, it will revert back to the original seed phrase without a passphrase. So when I come back into this wallet, I'll need to enter my passphrase to be using the correct wallet. Another note, as was mentioned in the setup here, if you are writing down your passphrase, I'd advise two things. One, write down your passphrase and the fingerprint. All right, that'll be helpful, and put those things together. That's totally fine. But two, keep your passphrase stored separately from your seed, because if somebody stumbles across your seed, well, now they've got the seed and the passphrase and the fingerprint to access exactly what they need, which is kind of the core wallet of your BIP85 setup. And if you're using it on its own as storage anyways, you just don't want those two things together. So either passphrase in your brain or passphrase written down with the fingerprint elsewhere apart from your seed phrase. Now I'm just going to demo powering down this unit and then turning back on. I'm going to put in the pin for the device, and then we'll check the fingerprint without the passphrase enabled. Okay, I'm logged in, so I'm going to go once again down to advanced/tools, and then I'm going to look all the way down to view identity. And hey, different fingerprint because we haven't enabled the passphrase. So let's back out all the way back to the main screen. Now let's go put in our passphrase. So I'm going to hit select passphrase. We'll hit the check mark. Is going to bump us to our screen where we select the passphrase. We're going to go to the add word. That's what we did before. A, B, and it was able. And we'll select the top one because we didn't make any changes. And then we're going to go down to hit apply. Okay, it says here's the fingerprint. If I hit the check mark, then it bumps me back to the main screen. If we want to check that we're in the right wallet, same thing, advanced/tools, go all the way down to view identity. And there we are. So we're in the correct wallet now with the passphrase enabled. We're now safe to start creating and divvying up BIP85 seed phrases. So if I want to use the main seed phrase as storage for myself, so maybe this is my hardware wallet and I'm using it to store my hopefully non-KYC sats, I can now export this with the passphrase enabled to whatever my wallet of choice is. So in this case, I'm going to export it to Sparrow Wallet on desktop. So I'm just going to go all the way down. We'll go to advanced/tools, export wallet. And for Sparrow Wallet, we're just going to use generic JSON will be the file that we need. My SD card is in the back of the device here, so I don't need to do anything there. And so I choose generic JSON, hit the check mark. Hey, it's going to save a file, hit the check mark. Nothing with the account number. I don't need to further complicate things, so I'm just going to hit check mark, generating. It's going to put a file on my SD card, and it'll give me the name. Now it says 3 to share the generic export file over NFC, otherwise okay to proceed. So I'm just going to hit OK. And it says this file has been written, coldcard-export.json. Check mark, all good. We'll jump all the way back to the main screen. And now I can take my SD card and I can jump to my computer with this plugged in and import my wallet. All right, so here I am on my desktop. My SD card's plugged in. I can see that file in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File. Let's go Import Wallet. I'm going to say Coldcard and Import File. And then I'm going to actually look to my SD card here. Choose that Coldcard Export JSON. We'll hit the import button that pops up. We'll give it a name. So we'll just say BIP85 parent. By the way, probably don't name it that. Just this, I'm just doing this for the tutorial, but you don't want it incredibly obvious to somebody that you're housing a bunch of seeds for a bunch of other people or for a bunch of other wallets for whatever reason. So don't name it this, but again, just for the example of today's video, that's what I'm going to do. The password here is just specific to this desktop interface, meaning if somebody were to get in here, if a passphrase would be required to audit the balance, but it does not affect the seed in any way. Okay. For now, I'm going to say no password. And here we are. Okay. So here's our Coldcard. This can now be used as a regular interface for sending and receiving transactions. Okay. So, same thing, you receive screen, you put in a label, you send Bitcoin to it, you're all set. To send, again, run of the mill, paste in your address, it's going to give it a label, say the amount, and so on and so forth. I've done all of this in my Sparrow wallet video. If you're incredibly unfamiliar and this looks daunting, go check that video out. It is an advanced wallet, but man, does it have a lot of great features. So if you're unsure, go learn. It's well worth your time. Anyways, we've now got this. This could be used again as your cold storage solution. Fantastic, great. It's all set up, it's on your computer, but that's not why we're here. We're here to use this main seed phrase and create more seed phrases for other purposes. So let's jump back to the Coldcard and start doing that. All right, so we are going to scroll down again to Advanced/Tools. Then we're going to scroll down until we see Derive Seed B85 or BIP85. We're going to select that. Now it says create entropy for other wallets, BIP85. This feature derives entropy based mathematically on this wallet's seed value. This will be displayed as a 12 or 24 word seed phrase or formatted in other ways to make it easy to import into other wallet systems. You can recreate this value later based only on the seed phrase or backup of this Coldcard. There is no way to reverse the process should the other wallet system be compromised, so the other wallet is effectively segregated from the Coldcard and yet still backed up, which is really cool. So we'll hit check mark and move on. Now it says, are you sure you have a BIP39 passphrase set right now? And so that will become wrapped into the new secret. What that means is you need to remember your passphrase on top of the seed for this device in order to recreate the seed that we're about to create. So basically, if you forget the passphrase for the Coldcard itself that we just created, then you wouldn't be able to regenerate these seeds later on, okay? But we are going to remember that passphrase because it's important, and that's what responsibility is all about. So we're gonna hit check mark, we're good. And then it says, hey, what do you want to do? 12 words, 18 words, 24 words. And then it gives some other ways of exporting your seed or your private key. We don't need to use those right now. And just fun fact, you can also generate passwords from this as well. And you can simply just number them and it'll give you a password for whatever you need but basically a password that can be used for accounts on websites or whatever you need. Okay. But nonetheless, we're going to go up just for the simplicity of this video. I'm going to go with 12-word seed phrases because yeah, it's a lot. So I'm just going to go with 12 words. And then it says index number. Basically, you have the option of entering the values between 0 and 9,999, giving you a total of 10,000 possible account derivatives. So for this one, I'm simply going to enter the number 1 and hit enter here. It says working. It's going to generate me a new seed phrase. So here it is. It gives me my first 4 words, and I can scroll down and start jotting them all. I'm going to jot this off screen, and then we'll see how we're going to utilize these words to import in another wallet. When I've scrolled down to the bottom, it says path used index equals 1. So account number 1, we skipped over account number 0, but you could have entered 0 there or any other number that you chose. It gives me the derivation path and all of that, the entropy used, a lot of stuff you don't necessarily need to know. It says press 1 to save to the micro SD card, which you can do. 2, to switch to the derived secret, meaning that we would now be using that wallet. I'm not going to do that with the Coldcard. It's going to be used for other purposes. Or 3, to view as a QR code, or 4, to send by NFC. So you got a lot of options here. If you wanted, let's say we went to 3. Okay, it shows as a QR code, and it's small, but you can actually scan this and import it into different wallets. So this would allow you to import it and then use it on a mobile wallet, assuming that your camera is capable of scanning a tiny QR like this. So I'm quickly going to show how I would import this with a couple of different options. So let's say I was using Blue Wallet here, and on your main screen you have add a wallet or the little plus button in the corner. But if I hit add now, and down near the bottom there's an option to import wallet. So if I hit that, it gives me the option to scan or import a file. It opens up my camera, and now I can simply scan this QR code on the Coldcard. And it takes a little bit of trying to find the right angle, but it basically sorts through. It says, hey, we're scanning to look for the appropriate wallet, and once that gets imported, we'll see it pop up. And there we go. So we now have an imported hot wallet that was created. And there we go. It says your wallet has been created successfully. Okay. And so I can now access this, and I've got the regular send and receive functionality. I've got my, my QR codes generated. All of that is all set here within Blue Wallet. And my backup now exists solely on the Coldcard. I don't actually need to write down the seed because it's basically backed up as a derivative of my Coldcard. Even if I destroyed the Coldcard, I still have the seed phrase for the Coldcard, and I know that there's a passphrase attached to it. So that gives me that versatility. Now, alternatively, let's say you had something like Nunchuk. Well, Nunchuk, you can add a key here. And I hit the plus button, and it says, okay, do you want to add a software key? That's what I'm looking for. And it gives me the option to hit recover existing seed. Okay. And this is where I would input the seed phrase that I wrote down when I set up the BIP85 account through account number 1. I would just enter that here. So I'll do that off screen, and then we'll see what it looks like. So once I've entered it, I'm just going to hit the continue button down at the bottom, and I can give it a name. We'll just call it hot wallet test, something like that. Hit continue. Do you want a passphrase on it? I'm going to say I don't need a passphrase. I'll just leave that. And there we go. So now I've got a functional key here in Nunchuk Wallet. I can create, and the way that Nunchuk works is you can create multisig wallets, so on and so forth. So this actually that BIP85 derived key could be part of a multisig wallet within Nunchuk. But for now, I'll just create a new wallet. Again, we'll just call it hot as an example. Continue. We'll use the key we just imported. Continue. And there we go. Okay, so we now, within Nunchuk Wallet, we've got a hot wallet that also was from the BIP85 derived seed, and that can be used as such. So whatever interface you're using, if you just want a simple hot wallet, you derive the seed phrase, you either manually type it in or you scan the QR code and you're good to go. And if you wrote down the seed phrase, you've got options there because, again, the seed phrase is backed up with the Coldcard itself. So technically speaking, yes, I manually entered it here, but I don't really need to keep that seed phrase anymore. I could destroy it and just rely on my Coldcard or the seed of my Coldcard as my backup. I don't need to have additional stuff to take care of. And that's kind of the convenience of using this. So anyways, there's my hot wallet use case, and we're all set to go. So once you're done with that, to get out of the screen, you can just hit the check mark. It takes you back to the seed words, but just check mark out of there, and there you go. So you're back to your main screen. Now, what happens if I deleted this app from my phone? Oh no, I lost my hot wallet. Whatever am I gonna do? Oh my God. Well, don't worry, because on the Coldcard, all you do is you get back to this spot, derive seed, and if you recall, just from the main screen, you go down to advanced/tools, and then you go down to derive B85. Okay. At this point, you just check mark your way through, and then you choose 12 words. And then what is my index number? All you need to remember is, what number did you enter here? It was account 1. I hit the check mark, and it should give me back the exact same seed that I had before. And that looks right to me. So at any point, if anything goes wrong with that hot wallet, you come back here. There you go. There's your seed phrase. You can reload your wallet into any interface that you choose. Okay, so let's say that you also want to create an account for your dear mom who, she's doing her best to learn, and you want her to have her own hardware and, have her own seed phrase, but you're a little worried that she might in one fell swoop lose her device and not remember where she put her seed phrase. And you'd love to be that secret in the background third line of defense in case she messes up a couple times in a row with very important stuff. Well, hey, you can also derive a BIP85 seed for her. So let's say you already had a hot wallet or a series of hot wallets that you're using. Well, jump back into BIP85, the same menu as before. And again, it'll give you all the same warnings we've previously seen. We're going to generate, well, just for this example, a 12-word seed phrase. And we're going to go with index number 2 at this point. Okay, we already had number 1 taken up, so we'll do number 2. It's going to work a little bit and then spit out our seed phrase here. Okay, so we've got that set on the device. I'm going to keep that up for a moment, or if you wanted to, you could write that down separately and then bring it to her and set up her device from there. Now, I've got in front of me here a Trezor, one of the older devices here, and I've got Trezor Suite up on my screen here. So let's actually get both of those things in here. Okay, well, let's say, yeah, she's using a different device for whatever reason, and you wanted to get her all set up here. Okay, we're going to set up our Trezor, and everything's all good. We're going to, in the options here, we're going to, instead of creating a new wallet, we're going to recover wallet. All right, how many words do we have? In this instance, we have 12. We're going to go standard recovery from seed. And on the device, it says, do you really want to recover this device? We're going to hit confirm. So the tricky thing about doing with the Trezor, the way that they kind of prevent somebody from phishing your seed phrase, at least entirely, is that they request you to do it out of order. So it's, again, you get the flickering here, but basically it says, please enter the 8th word on your computer screen. So we're going to go, and basically in the order here, I check on the Coldcard. I'm going to scroll down to word number 8, which is moral, and I'm going to enter that on my screen here, M-O-R-A, and then there it is. I'm going to click on it. Okay. And so then it says on my Trezor here, please enter list on your computer. And again, that's like an anti-phishing thing. Okay, so L-I-S-T, and I'll select that. Okay. Now it says, please enter the 10th word. So I'm going to, and basically it kind of does this, this sneaky, you're entering random words, so nobody that had access to your computer would be able to specifically figure out which words were real and which words were not. Now it says enter the 2nd word, and basically just follow the prompts on the Trezor until you have everything put in on your computer, and then you should be good. Okay, so we'll come back when I go through this whole process. All right, so I went through the whole process, entered a mix of the words on the Coldcard in random order with some decoy words that the Trezor served me up. I'm going to hit continue, and now I can go through the process of setting up the PIN and all of that so that this device is now functional and my mom can use it with a regular PIN and basically be good to go. The long and the short of it is, though, that I'm basically able to set up a seed phrase for her, have a backup of it that is part of my Coldcard setup, but then have her be able to independently use her device, but also have a copy of the seed words herself. And I think my tactic in this situation would be something along the lines of, here's your device, here's your seed words, keep them both safe in separate locations. You know your PIN for your device. If anything happens to it, go get your words and you'll be able to recover your money. In a nightmare scenario where both of those things go awry, I can be that third line of defense with my Coldcard and regenerate her wallet from the appropriate account number that I gave it in my BIP85 derivation. Now, one other use case that you might have is perhaps you want a watch-only wallet that you can load funds into segregated from the main wallet. So maybe your main wallet is saving for one purpose, and maybe one of your BIP85 wallets is saving for another purpose, or you know, it's a mixing wallet or whatever it may be. Okay, so you can create those types of wallets, no problem. But let's use the example of a watch-only wallet, meaning we still want to air gap. We still want to have to interface with the SD card. Okay, we have one for the main account, but how do we deal with that if we want it for one of the BIP85 ones where we're still using the SD card as the Coldcard would be done? Well, let's choose a 24-word seed phrase. Okay, we're going to choose index number 3. It's going to create our seed phrase and go through everything. So we'll see that on the next screen here. Okay, great. There's all our words. You can scroll all the way through. Fantastic. Gives all of our details. Now it says press 1 to save to the micro SD card, 2 to switch to the derived secret, or 3 to view as a QR code, so on and so forth. So we want to actually switch to this wallet now. We want to use it on the Coldcard. So we're getting into the realm of BIP85ception here, because we had our seed phrase. We put in a passphrase, so we're in a totally different wallet. We created a BIP85 wallet, and now we're saying we want to use that one. So we're 3 levels deep into wallets right now. So I'm going to switch to that word, that seed phrase. Okay. So we are now, it shows us the fingerprint of this wallet. Okay. So this is basically, I'm in this wallet and it's in effect until I power down. Okay. So with this, and it says it is not stored anywhere, by the way. So this wallet is not stored anywhere outside of the Coldcard currently. So I'll just hit the check mark. Again, we'll double check. So view identity, there's the fingerprint of the wallet we're currently in. Okay, fantastic. So what I want to do is, and I'll recenter us on the main screen, I'm going to go down to advanced/tools. I'm going to go to export wallet, and I'm going to be putting this in Sparrow as well. I'm going to hit generic JSON, and that's going to write a file. We're not going to do anything with the account number. That's going to generate a file much like the first time, but this time for the BIP85 wallet we just generated. Okay, we're going to hit OK. And we now have a new file on our SD card, which we can pop out. I'll go back to the main screen. Great. So our wallet, our BIP85 wallet, watch only, meaning the keys are still specifically on this device under that BIP85 account number 3, but we can watch the wallet in Sparrow and it's still air gapped and you can still sign with the Coldcard as long as you're in the appropriate wallet. So let's jump to the computer and we'll import this as another savings wallet for us. Okay, so we're back on desktop with Sparrow Wallet open. We've got our BIP85 parent wallet open, but I want to import that new one that we just created. So I'm going to hit File, Import Wallet. I'm going to go down to Coldcard, Import File. It's already selected my SD card. There's the file that I had created. I had deleted the old one, by the way. It's a good practice to delete everything off the SD card once you've used it. So this is the new file. I'm going to hit import and we'll call this one Coldcard Savings. And I'll hit create wallet. I'm not going to use a password for this one. And there we go. Okay, so this wallet is now set up as well. And we can tell they are different within Sparrow by going to Settings. And here is the fingerprint for this wallet, this air-gapped wallet with my Coldcard. And then if I jump to the parent wallet, and I go to Settings, there is the fingerprint for that wallet, for the main wallet. And remember, this is the one from our regular seed phrase, the first one we generated with a passphrase on it, with able. Okay, so this was the parent seed, and this one is one of the child seeds. And this one can be used as our savings wallet. Maybe we want to segregate something. Maybe it's for a business, and maybe you have this is revenue from one source and this is revenue from another source, or maybe you have some funds that you want to keep private and maybe you have other funds that are from a KYC exchange. Whatever it may be, you may have a need for a hardware secured account, but different sub accounts for different purposes. So that's the use case here of having a BIP85 wallet generated underneath the main seed. Let's talk about how you would sign a transaction, not from the main account, but from this this derivative, this third BIP85 seed that we've created. So we're going to boot down the Coldcard and we're going to log in and we're going to say, okay, we need to get to our Coldcard savings, which is account number 3. And we need to then sign a transaction. So first I'm going to send in, I'm going to go to the receive screen and we'll just say, test transaction. We've got a QR code here. I'm going to send some Bitcoin to this from a test wallet that I have, and when we jump back in, we'll see a balance sitting here. Okay, so I've got a transaction here in my Coldcard savings, so my BIP85 account that I just generated, and I want to send it out. And so I'm going to hit the send tab. I'm going to paste in an address. It's going back to a tutorial wallet that I have, and I'll just give it a note. And then I'm just going to hit, I could put in any amount, but I'll hit the max amount here, okay? So I've set up the transaction. I'm going to create it, finalize it, and I'm going to save it to my SD card. By the way, if you're unfamiliar with this flow, again, go back and check out my Coldcard tutorial, and you can check out the Sparrow wallet tutorial, and that'll help you through everything there. So anyways, I'm going to save this to my SD card, and it is a partially signed Bitcoin transaction. I need to approve it with the Coldcard, specifically that account. So I'm going to save this here. And then I'll double check that it's on the card. Yep, there it is. Okay, great. I can eject this now. And we're going to jump to the Coldcard and make sure we're logged in to the right place to approve this transaction. Okay, so I just turned on my device and logged in with the PIN. And I have my SD card. I'm going to slide it in the side here so that we're good to do a transaction. However, remember, every time you turn off this device, it's going to go back to just the main core seed. However, we had a passphrase on that seed. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add our passphrase. So we're even using the right one. So we go to our second option, we say passphrase, and we're going to go through the process. Whatever your passphrase was, again, we just did add word, and it was able. So I'm going to go until I see that option, and I will select it. That was the top one. Okay, we're going to go down, and we're going to hit apply. Okay, so here's the master fingerprint. That looks correct. That's the same one I made note of earlier, and that is all good. And it says, okay, if you want to use the new wallet, and I'm just going to hit okay. Okay, we're now in that wallet. And again, remember, you can check by going, if you want to, advanced/tools, and we're looking for view identity, and it should start with 667, and there we go. Okay, so we're in the right place. We're all good there. Now, if we were using that this BIP85 account, this is where that's all we would need to do is just put in the passphrase and we're into our wallet. However, we're not using this one. We're not using the one with 667. We're using the BIP85 savings account we just made. This one over here. Okay, we're using this account. We need to sign a transaction, the one that we just started doing. And we need to go and actually send that transaction. Okay, so we now need to actually open up the correct account. So we need to go back to our Coldcard. We need to go down to advanced/tools, and then we need to go to derive seed BIP85. Okay, and we're going to go to 24 words. That's what we had before. And what's our index number? Index number 3. It was account number 3. Okay, and this gives us our seed words. Okay, that's fantastic. We can scroll through and see all of them and get to the bottom. That's all good. We knew that. Now, if you want, you can either save this information or you can switch to this derived secret. And that's what we need to do. We need to access this account. So we're going to hit number 2. And now we should be using this new account, which, by the way, if I jump back to our Coldcard savings, what was the fingerprint? 002F8D11. If I look at my Coldcard, 002F8D11. So we're in the right place now. And it says, hey, you're going to be in this account until you power down. Okay, so we put together that transaction the one that's sitting in Sparrow Wallet, this one right here, we put that together. It's ready to go. It's on the SD card. We just need to sign it. So here in the Coldcard, I can just hit ready to sign. It should see the transaction. Yeah, there was only one loaded up there. Hey, do you want to send this much Bitcoin to this address? That looks right to me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, hit the check mark, signing, and it says, hey, it's signed. We saved this file to your SD card. Should be able to use it now. And we're all good. We can pop out that SD card and jump back to Sparrow. And I'm just going to plug it in here to the computer. Okay, so we've got a file in here that we can now use for this transaction. We're going to hit load transaction. Tutorial wallet signed. That's the one we're looking for. Signed being the operative word. We're going to open it. Hey, there's our signature. Broadcast the transaction, and out it should go. So we were able to navigate to this appropriate wallet and then sign the transaction that we needed to, all from the Coldcard. Now, when you start having a lot of BIP85 accounts, you're going to want to have a place where you keep track of what's what. And now the nice part about being able to keep track of this is you can have a document like this with very little information in regards to what it actually is. So in this example, I have just a number, a name, and a fingerprint. Now the fingerprint is something you don't have to put in here because it does give indication that it is Bitcoin related. But if I didn't have that information here, then number and name, this could be a list of anything. But nonetheless, you know, account number 1 was my mobile hot wallet. Account number 2 was my mom's hardware device. Account number 3 was my savings account on my Coldcard. So you can just label this, and then something happens to mom's wallet. You go back to this list that you have in cloud storage or on a file or wherever, and you say, okay, what was mom's account? Okay, it was number 2. Great. Jump back to your Coldcard, and then you recreate the correct seed for her to recover the wallet. But it gives you a single point of reference to say, okay, what did I have going on and where? And then you can regenerate whatever needs to happen at that point. Now, I'll make a note here. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have this information stored in the same place as your parent seed, the main seed that you created with your Coldcard, because it denotes that, hey, there's a whole bunch of other accounts that are delegated under this singular seed. Now, of course, it would still be protected by a passphrase as long as you've enabled one, but you just want to try and keep things separate. If the seed is by itself and there's no indication that there's a passphrase, nor is there any indication that BIP85 has been used, then, I mean, odds are somebody's going to check the seed. If they stumble across it, if there's nothing on it, they'll probably just move on at that point. So just keep that in mind, take those considerations, and design things as you see fit. Now let's talk backups in this situation. How are you going to back up everything in terms of what do you keep? What do you not keep? Well, I would say it depends on the type of account. Now, to be clear, in totality, you have backups of every single account, whether you just have the Coldcard or whether you just have the seed. All you need to remember is the passphrase if you have a passphrase enabled on it, which I think is probably a good idea. And then you just need to know which account is for what. That's pretty much it. So you don't have to have a secondary backup on top of that. What I'm getting at is you don't need to have each seed for each account on top of the Coldcard and the seed for the Coldcard. However, in some instances, you may find it valuable having some redundancy. In the case that I think of, it would be, my mom's hardware wallet. I would like her to take as much personal responsibility as possible. So you say, yeah, again, mom, here's your device and here's your seed phrase. Keep these things safe. And that way, if you're an Uncle Jim for your mom or a family member or anybody, they are forced, or they think they're forced to take that personal responsibility, and hopefully they do, but you're just that third line of defense. If everything goes awry, then you can be like, listen, I got you. I thought this might happen, and here we go. Never do this again. So yeah, anyways, I'd say in that instance, it's a good idea to obviously give the individual that you're Uncle Jimming for their seed phrase, so that they can recover on their own and they get that experience. But for everything else, like a hot wallet, again, if I delete the wallet, I can go back to the Coldcard and regenerate it. If I delete the wallet and I destroy the Coldcard, I can still get my original seed phrase, import it to a new Coldcard, and then get access to all of the accounts anyways. So if it's my own accounts, I don't feel the need for additional backups when I've already got the Coldcard device itself and I've got the seed phrase. And ideally the seed phrase would be maybe not just paper, but something like a steel plate. CoinKite has tons of those you can grab, but also stored separately. That way, again, if something horrible happens and your house burns down and your Coldcard goes kaput, well, you've still got your steel plate stored safely with the seed phrase somewhere else. So yeah, just have those two things separately and you're fine. All of your backups in one. And it's also secured by a passphrase. So if somebody stumbles across your seed plate, they don't technically have anything. And you can regenerate from the Coldcard that you have. So just make sure the things are always there. If one goes missing, it's time to start readjusting accounts. So yeah, backups, pretty straightforward. Coldcard, seed, you're set for everything. Pretty wild. Now, in terms of use cases for BIP85, we went through a few of them, but I just wanted to bring up some comments that I got from you guys in regards to what might be useful and use cases that you may have. So we have Francis here saying, hey, multiple wallets, one backup, derive a BIP85 seed, use something like Wasabi seed for mixing wallet, derive another for a mobile wallet. That way you can have the same hardcore backup solution for other wallets as you do for your cold storage without extra effort. Anthony said managing business finances. Chris said Uncle Jim for family, or in the future using generate keys for Nostr, which is a thing that can be possible. It'll probably be a future video. Nonetheless, TC, family, community, corporate, hierarchical, custodial solutions, having wallets within wallets from Orange Pilled, use it in combination with passphrases for each use case, making post-mix cold storage wallets in discrete sizes. So privacy, that's another thing. Again, we touched on it, but you might have some KYC'd and some non-KYC Bitcoin and you want to keep them separate. Well, you can do it in this case. You can have, like, for instance, that Coldcard savings account that we made. That could be like non-KYC sats that nobody knows you have. And then the other one could be your, I'm using this and people know that I might have this. It's come from an exchange. So you can segregate there. Again, you see a number of people, Uncle Jim for friends and fam, keep my KYC free stack separate from my coin join. There's a lot here. Now, there's somebody also that asked a question, what are the pros and cons to using BIP85 versus custom derivation paths or accounts? And what this means is if you have a seed phrase, a regular seed phrase, you can change the derivation path, which effectively means which address are you starting at? Because there can be so many addresses generated from a single seed that they de facto become separate accounts with a single seed. The main difference here is that with BIP85, all of those child seeds you create are de facto completely independent. And what that means is if somebody gets one of those seed phrases, it does not compromise the Coldcard itself. All right. So with a derivation path set up where you have multiple accounts on a single seed phrase, somebody can just start scanning that seed phrase and find all of the accounts therein. And if they stumble across one, they're probably going to stumble across more and start scanning for that. You could feasibly do this setup with a passphrase, but again, the segregation is kind of the key here. You have these child seeds that are their own completely independent wallets with their own backups. And then that way you don't get into the instance of, oh, I'm going to import this into a hot wallet, and maybe they don't have the option to set your derivation path, and you're just seeing whatever account happens to be the derivation path that they're on. Whereas with this, you've got a seed phrase and it's for a specific reason. It's for a specific account, and there's no way it's going to commingle with other stuff from within the other derived wallets. So again, segregation is the key, is the name of the game in this, and in my opinion, it's a better option than the derivation paths. In terms of final thoughts here, I think BIP85 is an excellent tool for those that choose to use it. And again, the attractiveness of being able to manage multiple wallets for multiple different use cases from a single device and its seed phrase, and being able to regenerate any of those seeds that you want at will is, again, for convenience, it can't be... I don't see what else comes close. Also, the idea that all of those individual wallets are segregated and they can't compromise the parent seed is huge. I would just, again, advise adding a passphrase to the parent seed so that somebody stumbling across your seed phrase wouldn't then de facto compromise all of the child seeds. Outside of that, you can also, something we didn't touch on, you can use a derived seed as part of a multisig. So yeah, if you're part of a multisig with other devices or other people, then yeah, you could segregate that by generating a seed phrase as part of your BIP85 and saying, okay, this is the one for the multisig. And then it gives limited information to any other key holders within that multisig. One thing around multisig that I would say maybe I don't think I would do this is, somebody once asked me, could you generate 3 keys from BIP85 and then create a multisig from that? Yes, you absolutely could. So let you create account 1, 2, and 3, and you combine them to create a multisig. However, having all of the keys for a multisig technically accessible inside of a single device, I think negates part of the security of the multisig itself. So yeah, why bother? Like if you're able to get in and get access to one of the seeds in a multisig, then you're able to get access to all of them, and then it's no longer geographically distributed, which is kind of the idea behind multisig. So I'll just say that. But nonetheless, damn, BIP85 is very interesting, and I'm going to break your brain with one last thing. If you generate a BIP85 seed phrase that is 24 words, you can then generate 10,000 more BIP85 seed phrases from that BIP85 seed phrase. So you get BIP85ception. You can have the parent seed, a child seed, and then child seeds spitting off from that, and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, wrap your brain around that one. Anyways, I thoroughly enjoyed playing with this. My only regret is that this didn't exist when I first started setting up Bitcoin wallets, because it would be so much more convenient. But hey, I think maybe I'll start migrating towards solutions like this in the future just for ease of use. Nonetheless, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Have you used BIP85? Have you found it convenient? And what other use cases do you see for something like BIP85? I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do like, subscribe, share. All those things help a ton getting this content in front of more eyeballs. If you want to help the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors down below. Of course, CoinKite, where you can grab a Coldcard and start playing with BIP85 yourself, but also HODL, Nunchuk, and Start9. They're all listed down below. You can also hit up my website, btcsessions.ca. There's a whole bunch of free content there. You can also book me with one-on-one sessions. If the free online tutorials aren't enough, you can get some additional hand-holding there via video call. And my in-person workshops, I've got one coming up in Miami. You can book tickets there. But as I travel, there'll be more listed. And finally, if you really liked what you saw, you can head to btcsessions.ca/tips. And that's where you can drop me a Bitcoin tip, either via on-chain or the Lightning Network. There's a bunch of options to help me cover expenses, or you can just select your own amount. Basically, you hit the contribute button, choose what you want to do, hit the tip button, and it'll be dropped here where you can pay either on-chain or with the Lightning Network. Anyways, with that, guys, I am out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.